So just going to do two variable truth tables here. So it's P and Q. Just some revision of logic. Okay. Construct a complete truth table for each of the following variables P and Q. There are 4 possible combinations of truth values, of course. So, all right. Logical conjunction, which is only true when both arguments are true. So T, F, F, F. Logical disjunction, or, which is only true when, which is true when at least one of the propositions is true. So true to true, false. P implies Q, logical implication, which is only false when the first variable is true and the last variable is false. Antecedent and consequent, I believe, are their names. Material equivalence, that's true. And here we have the conjunction of the negation of P with Q. And there's a reminder, here's operator precedence. So therefore, this whole column here is like flipped, right? So this becomes false, false, true, true. And then you just perform conjunction upon that. So false and true, that's false. False and false is false. False, true and true is true. And true and false is false. And now to check the first 5. Okay, conjunction and disjunction, I recall those, correct. Logical implication, correct. Material equivalence or logical equivalence, that's correct. And now false, false, true, false. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, next. A conjunction of P and not Q. So that negates the whole of this column here. See, so as a mental exercise, I'm going to imagine it being its negation. So true and false is false. True and true is true. False and false is false. And false and true is false. Next up, not P or Q. So negate this column here. So false and true. No, false or true. Well, that's true. False or false. Well, that's false. True or true, that's true. True or false, that's true. And here we must negate Q. So true or false, that's true. True or true, true. False or false, that's false. False or true, that's true. And now negate their conjunction. So true and true is true, but we must negate it. And indeed, the rest of it is pretty obvious. And the 10th one, negate their disjunction. So as the disjunction table looks like true, 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 false, just flip the bits. So false, 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 true. And let's see what that looks like. False, true, false, false. Okay. True, false, true, true. All right. True to false, false. No. TTFT. F triple T. Triple FT. Right, that's all good. Now, the next 5. Okay. Negation has precedence over implication. So, does true imply false? That's false. Does true imply true? Well, that's true. Does false imply false? Well, that's false. Does false imply true? Excuse me, hold on. Only for this one. Remember. Does false imply false? True. Does false imply true? True. Okay. Does false imply true? Does false imply false? True imply true? And does true imply false? Okay, handle the conjunction first, then this one out here. So true and true, that's true. True or false? Well, that's true. True and false? Well, that's false. False or false? Well, that's false. False and true? That's false. False or true? Well, that's true. Okay, that's false. False or true? 14th one now. Okay, there's some noise in the background, so I'll have to actually do this. And not Q, will that be false, true, false, true? And now conjunct them. False, true, false, false. Okay, that's all correct. Next. So I'm imagining true, false, false, true. And then I'm imagining false, true. And then the disjunction. True, false, true. Now this, well, this is interesting. I believe that this is exclusive or XOR. So it's only true when exactly one of them is true. So there. Now the negation of P implies Q. Well, I know the truth table for P implies Q reads, when it's laid out in the standard way, TTFF, TFF, TFTF. It goes TF, TT, and so false, true, false, false. The negation of the material equivalence be false, true, true, false. I want to learn like the proper names for these things. Conjunction implying a disjunction. Right, so the conjunction table looks like true, false, false, false. The disjunction table looks like true, 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 false. And does true imply true? Yes. False imply true? Yes. And then yes. And then yes. Okay, now to check these. That's correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all correct. All right, so P implies Q. Does that imply P? Okay, so you can have a sort of secret copy of P over here. You can imagine one. Just imagine it. It's better for you. Or is it? Be better to go from the inside out. True, true, false, false. Now, does Q imply P? So, true. Does false imply true? That's true. Does true imply false? Well, no, that's false. Does false imply false? Well, that's true. And is it the K? And now just have the variable for P there. And then just assess each implication here. Does true imply true? That's true. Does true imply, yes, they're all true. Okay, so it's a tautology. Now think, why would that actually be the case? P implies that Q implies P. Well, if we know that P is true, then everything implies that it's true. I guess that kind of like makes sense. Okay, P or Q implies P and Q. I think that's a tautology. It just feels so in my bones. So there's the disjunction, there's the conjunction. And, oh, no, I'm completely wrong. Okay, it's the other way around, though, I think. Let me just see. Yes, the other way around it would actually be so. Now, when we assess this, we get true, false, false, true. And here, not P is materially equivalent to not Q. So just flip everything. And assess their material equivalence. So false, biconditional, okay. It's true there, and false in between. I mean, I kind of just knew that, so why didn't I go with my gut instinct there? I want to develop better instincts about this, you know? Mm-hmm. Okay, so P and not Q. P and not Q. Okay, so that's true and false. True and false. Well, that's false. True and true. Well, that's true. False and false. It's false. False and true. That's false. And now over here. False and true. Come on. No, false and true is false. Okay, how about false and false? Well, that's false. True and true, that's true. False and false is false. And now the disjunction is true in the middle. Okay. Now to assess. Is that actually correct? Okay, 21. Correct. 22. Correct. 23. Correct. 24. Correct. 25. Correct. Okay, so that was all well and good. Two variable truth tables. Let me just end this here.